Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, actually. I'm very happy to meet you at this webinar. It's already our third session like this to advertise the neuropsychology program, which is a joint effort between University of York City Campus, City College Europe Campus, and the New Bulgarian University. My name is Ivo Popivanov. I'm from the New Bulgarian University. You can see also my colleague Tihomir, who is going to talk at the end and to say a couple of words about the neuropsychology programs that we have prepared, and we are waiting for new and enthusiastic applicants. And I'm very, very happy to announce the speaker for today, who is Georgia Papaioannou, who is going to present a case that she has worked with in neurorehabilitation. This is a very interesting clinical topic that is one of the aspects of the clinical neuropsychology profession. Georgia is going to present this field of neuropsychology as a specialist. She is also an instructor in the University of York City College, the Europe campus of University of York. And also she's a private practitioner, a neuropsychologist with a private practice. So Georgia, the floor is yours. You can share your presentation and start with the exciting topic.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, hello everybody. I'm Georgia Papaioannou. I am currently a lecturer in City College, the Europe campus of University of York. I have a Bachelor of Science in Applied Psychology and a Master of Arts of Clinical Neuropsychology. Actually, my Master of Arts is the program that University City College offers. I am an alumna of this college, and I have actually followed this program, and then I had the luck to return after 4 years as a lecturer here to one of the most important classes, especially for the clinical part, for neuropsychological assessment and rehabilitation. We have decided that in order to talk about cognitive rehabilitation, it would be better for us to go through a case study for a patient with vascular dementia in order to understand how we can actually design such a plan. To get some information about the case study, we have EK. She's a female of 80 years old, right-handed, with 6 years of education, and she suffered from ischemic cerebrovascular episode. It is really important as a first step to have some information with an interview from the patient's view, and of course the caregivers. The caregiver in this situation was her daughter, and she actually shared with us that she had cognitive difficulties prior to her episode. So she was forgetting what she was saying, she repeated things, she was forgetting where she placed her stuff. She was not interested to get involved in her household chores anymore or any other activities, actually. And she was getting more anxious and overprotective. So,
Georgia, just a
yes.
moment. I wanted to ask you if it's possible that you switch on your camera, or if it's okay.
Sure, just a moment.
It should be down next to the microphone button.
It doesn't let me proceed with this for some reason.
Okay,
apparently we have a camera issue, so please continue like this.
Yeah, you can continue without the camera.
Okay, thank you. So the information we had from the patient was actually that she recognized she had some symptoms pre-existing her ischemic episode. She was constantly actually saying that she could not remember old information, but she could remember old information, sorry, but not new. Also, her relatives witnessed some confusion in her language skills, as well as in her time coordination after this episode. And from our assessment, we did actually see that there was a difficulty to orient herself towards time. However, she was really friendly and cooperative. From the neuropsychological assessment, we've seen that she had dominant abulia, and she had some problems in her language skills, so specifically a difficulty to retrieve and produce verbal information from her semantic system. She had problems in time and complex attention tasks, or in tasks that demanded visual-motor coordination. And we've seen that she had also a lack of self-awareness. For her executive functions, there were prominent dysfunctions actually in this system, and in abstract thinking, disorganized visuospatial and visuoconstructional perception, some memory impairment with reduced capacity for new learning. She had limited active short and long-term recall, relatively well-preserved encoding that was facilitated with acute recall, which is a really important to say here that this might actually be very helpful for us later to think about using as a strategy when we design the neurorehabilitation plan. And of course, there was also depressive symptomatology. So after we do a neuropsychological assessment, we actually need to have some goals for our patient in order to design and apply the treatment plan. We take into consideration the strengths and weaknesses of the patient, and of course, we see what areas of this function we have for our patient. So here we said we had deficits in focus and sustained attention, so we need to manage those because we had problems in concentrating in prolonged activities, such as would be watching television or knitting, because we need actually to see and understand how these deficits are reflected within the everyday life of the patient. We need to improve alternative attention and working memory so as to facilitate multitasking and switching between activities of daily living, such as to run a household. And we need to confront memory issues about capacity, duration, and encoding for verbal and visual information. And of course, we need to take into account any subjective complaints. So in this case, we had some complaints of her episodic memory, such as forgetting details of recent events. So in order to follow and apply a treatment plan, firstly, we need to choose the strategies and techniques we're going to use. Strategies like that are compensatory strategies, which when we talk about internal compensatory strategies, we mean about chunking pieces of information and grouping them together in order to remember them better. Rehearsal as a repetition for retaining information, forming mnemonics with, for example, having two words that begin with the same letter, any visual imagery, so having a mental representation, or with a preview question, read state test in order to learn new information. I know it's just referring to them right now, but when we go through the case study, we can actually see how all of these were applied for this patient. For the external compensatory strategies, we might have some signs set to remind the patient things, any visual or verbal cues during the exercises, with direct instruction or of a more self-monitoring nature. We also have instructional techniques, such as errorless learning, which is really important because it has to do with the immediate feedback we give to the patient in order to eliminate any impulsive error in a recall condition that actually can lead to a mistake during this condition, which will persevere throughout the rest of the trials. We also have spaced retrieval strategies, so to expand the time intervals between some trials in order to facilitate retention of information and increase the patient's memory capacity by setting, of course, some specific criteria of success. And also vanishing cues, which means that we provide cues to the patient that are actually later on gradually diminished within a session. And of course, goal management training, which is really important to address any symptoms of impulsivity and disinhibition. For this specific training, we focus on this model and say to the patient that they need to self-regulate themselves. So we need to make them stop and ask themselves, what am I doing? They need to define the task they're doing, list the steps in order to learn them. And if they're capable to continue, they go on. And of course, if not, they need to make sure to return, list the steps they need to make, be sure that they have learned it, and check again, are they doing what they had to? If not, then they have to return. If yes, they proceed with the task. This is really important. It is a mechanism that actually for healthy population might seem something we do unconsciously, but this is a really important step for the patient to do consciously in order to use it later on as a strategy in their everyday life. We have also retraining strategies, which are strategies that are mostly focused in neuroplasticity. So we have repeated stimulation of the impaired cognitive function with systematic use of these cognitive tasks and exercises. We have the attention process training program, and of course, attention protocols and workbook exercises that were actually adapted from Wilson's main model regarding rehabilitation programs. And of course, we need to have some collaborative techniques to identify our goals and shape the intervention process. And of course, to note any differences that are made in the patient's life. This rehabilitation program lasted for 52 hours that were divided in 25 sessions. And each session incorporated attention, visual memory, verbal memory, and episodic memory tasks. To see a summary for grouped the sessions, how we've worked through this case. From sessions 1 to 3, for the starting sessions, we focused on confronting attentional and working memory problems. The APT program was actually used in order to organize the repetitive exercises per domain. They were mostly paper pencil tasks with different difficulty levels, and specifically for EK, sorry, were used 3 types of exercises: cancelling out numbers, altering between odd and even numbers, or between upper and lowercase letters, and of course, crossing out numbers 2 times smaller than preceding. The patient was asked to monitor and correct her performance for accuracy, mistakes, so omissions or errors, the time and each number of trial we're going through. These exercises were also given as homework, which was checked in probe sessions. And if we had an 80% accuracy and good completion time, the difficulty level was increased. However, for our patient, these training tasks were complicated for her age and educational status, so we needed to take that into consideration. Of course, we always need to promote a positive feeling for the patient to follow successfully this program and not give up. So we switched to the attention protocols and workbooks that were more suitable for her. Okay, now for the attention protocols, there were new protocols created based on the original exercises in order to match the patient's interests. So we had protocols based on grocery shopping, Greek music, cooking, and these protocols have 3 levels. Level 1 is for patients with dementia, level 2 for patients with MCI, and level 3 for healthy population. An example for these exercises is that they had to find in the information that were given all the products that cost below €1 and write them down, or create 2 pairs of words and via some strategies recall them later when we asked for them. And the workbooks, as well as the protocols, were provided by Alzheimer's Association. For these workbooks, actually, an example of the exercises would be targeting words in selected magazine of recipes, or circling the letter S if letter A was before it in contingent random letters. These were actually tasks that were given 5 minutes per day, and they were completed in 2 to 3 sessions each time. For sessions 4 to 16, the attentional task continued, and we actually focused in visual memory restoration. So a complex figure of 12 elements was given to the patient with written instructions. The instructions were designed to promote the strategy the patient needed to work with. So working per segment for the given shape, from left, top, down, and external elements, to the right, top, down, and external elements. The procedure was that the patient needed to go step by step, observing the figure, while following the instructions to fill in a copy condition. Then we had 2 consecutive learning trials with vanishing cues. So first we took away the drawing, and at the next learning trial, the instructions list. We had 1 immediate recall trial without any help to promote, in order to promote verbalizing and organizing these instructions. 2 short delayed recalls after that with a time interval of 5 minutes. And if we had an 80% accuracy criteria met, we proceeded with 2 long delayed trials. These trials had a time interval of 15 minutes each. Of course, we need to remind here that it is really important that in case of any doubt, the patient had to stop so that we could provide her with a cue beforehand. to promote errorless learning. So we either remind her of the instruction when instructions were not present, when they were vanished, or to actually perform the task to imitate. The difficulty level, of course, was raised until we reached our goal. So we had to be sure we had acquired techniques to organize, design, and remember a complex figure of 16 elements. And of course, visual memory was enhanced and was really important because we can actually use it as a tool for verbal memory as well. Of course, since our patient had impulsivity issues, we also used the GMT strategy. So we gave the patient each time a visual cue, a real cue, a stop sign that is used in road traffic, from when she had to stop and check in order to self-regulate her actions. In the final group of the sessions, 17 to 25, the attentional tasks continued still, and now we focused on verbal memory. We present to the patient a list of categorized objects orally, but also with visual representation for 5 learning conditions. The cues were removed, and then we had 2 short delayed recalls with a time interval of 5 minutes each. If we had an 80% accuracy in this criteria, then we proceeded with 2 long delayed recalls. Otherwise, a third short delay recall was followed. Now the procedure. We present orally and visually objects of everyday life by categorizing them. We started with 3 categories, like need supplies, pins, needles, scissors, thread, cleaning supplies, chlorine, bucket, sponge, glass cleaner, and music instruments, guitar, tambourine, bouzouki, clarinet. Now the first thing they need to recall is the category, and then the object within it, because this would be a more efficient and organized way for them to remember them successfully. Of course, again, it is really important to stop when they don't remember or they have doubts in order to provide an a priori semantic or phonological cue to promote the errorless learning. Here we have also seen actually that the patient used a strategy of her own to link any words with personal stories behind them, such as every time she remembered apple pie, the first time actually that I present her with the word apple pie, she said that, oh, this was her favorite dessert of her husband, and she always remembered this within this story, or that the orchid was the first flower that she was offered when she left the hospital. The difficulty level raised from 12 words with visualization and categorization cues to 16. And our goal was actually for the patient to be able to remember 12 words with visualization cues, but presented in mixed order. So we eliminated the cue of categorization. Other cues in these sessions that were used were external, because we had some memory complaints about finding personal items. So we used the sign at the top of her drawer so that she would always be sure, even when she wanted to use them or leave them, this would be the place for her to always search for them. And of course, we actually used the protocol for episodic memory exercises to address her memory complaints about retaining information of a conversation or event. So we used PQRST that was actually adjusted to her interests as well. So the procedure for this was that each protocol includes a text. In the specific protocol, the protocol that was used was actually an article with information about the patient's birthplace. We read the text together by taking turns, And then the patient is answering comprehension questions and performs exercises to facilitate her memory. An example of a therapeutic session would be that in probe session, we have the homework checked. In the main session, we have visual or verbal memory trials. We have small breaks during short delay recalls, and we had the attention exercises during long delay recalls, especially when we had new material presented. And we finalized every session with conversation or episodic memory exercises to actually fade away with a more positive feeling. Now, it is really important when we have a patient to actually monitor the progress. Since we design a neuro rehabilitation plan, we focus it on the patient's needs, abilities, and interests. We need to see if we have a stable improvement and to quantify our data to see how this is going. Now, for the attention component, for the attention protocols that we've used, we actually saw gradual improvement over time, which actually led us to be able to increase the performance. Since the performance was increased, to change the difficulty level, to be more correct. So from a difficulty level that was for dementia patients, level 1, we were actually, we accomplished to reach a mixed difficulty level of 1 and 2, so between dementia patient and MCI. Here we can see the success rate also for all the protocols that were used. Since we had 80% accuracy, we actually could change the difficulty level after 3 consecutive times of success rate achieved. For the booklet attention exercises, there was a good and stable performance with minor positive changes though, as we can see here. That's why we mostly focused on giving more the attention protocols which were more suitable for the patient. Here we have the most accomplished part of this intervention, the visual memory. We have here comparative diagrams. We see the time and score variables were improving as the elements increased from 12 to 14 and 16. So we changed the level of difficulty. And we can see here copy, immediate recall, short delay, and long delay recalls. As we continued with our sessions, we had better times and better scores. For verbal memory, here we have again comparative diagrams. There was a success rate of short and long delay recall trials. We can see that for 12 and 16 words with visual and category cues, and 12 words with visual cues. Of course, the success rate is indicative of the difficulty level modification. So at any case, if we see that we have actually reached the more difficulty level, but we are still above 80% of accuracy, we consider this to be successful because we might start with a lower percentage with our first trials, but as we go on, we actually keep more stable and more successful rate for more difficult levels. We had also gradual improvement over time for the protocols that were used in episodic memory. We can see it in the diagram here also. Generally, it was a successful cognitive intervention. The most complete and exceptional level of performance was reached in visual memory. Her relatives also stated that EK presented now a more different and holistic profile from the beginning that we started the rehabilitation program. And of course, it is really important to know that after a 3-month period of a rehabilitation plan going on, we need to have a follow-up assessment. So another neuropsychological assessment to actually see the significance of our of the plan we were following through. However, in this case, AK relapsed, had a problem with her. She had many blood transfusions, and actually we've lost some of the things we gained because she started to have problems again with her orientation. So the plan was stopped in order for her to focus again to her main problem health. And that was it. This was.
Thank you so much for presenting this exciting story of this patient and your work with the patient. If you allow me, because I think you made your presentation quicker than expected. If you allow me a couple of questions that I have. As far as I understand, you have planned 52 sessions or so to work, or a lot of sessions with this patient. But how often do you meet with the patient usually?
There were 52 hours actually that were divided into 25 sessions.
Okay.
So regarding how many time the patient has free for her as well, 2 to 3 times with about 2 hours is okay. Like two times per week for 2 times per week for 2 hours each. It is the most helpful and possible plan to follow with the patient for both sides, as I have seen.
Yeah. Perfect. This is very good, and it seems that the patient was also very devoted to come and do all these exercises.
Yes, I was going to her house each time, so that was sure more easy for her to follow this through. However, yes, she was really cooperative at the beginning, as every patient, especially at this age, they thought that they were being taught things that they didn't need to follow through this whole procedure. They thought they were back to school, but since they've seen the changes that were made, because there were actually many changes in her life after that, because she had quit knitting, and it was one of her favorite activities. She started again. So she was really, really involved in this. And after she saw how this plan, how this program really helped her, she wanted to keep going through this, to follow through.
I see. And I had one more question regarding the materials, because you presented a lot of things that you used in the first session initially, and then for the attention, and then for memory. And I suppose some of these things are provided by the the Greek Alzheimer's Association, that have a very good network and a lot of materials. But I suppose a lot of materials you designed yourself, right?
Well, actually, the materials that were given to us were the attentional protocol and the workbook of exercises. These are actually exercises that are published in books in English. Alzheimer's disease gave me some of the protocols to work with, because you can actually have the opportunity to take some protocols, and the most important part is to make it this an individualized program. So you need to be able to adapt this program to fit the person's interests. So if I give a patient, let's say something that has with attention, to follow through a book, to work our attention through reading a book or book exercises, and this patient never liked reading, this would not work with this patient at all. So when we get some exercises, we need to see and work with these. Based on these, create new ones. So we had some exercises to work with, and then each time I developed new material from this, but only for the attentional protocol and the workbook exercises. All the other material is actually used after the neuropsychological assessment is clinical tools that are used for this reason.
Yeah, sure. But that's really nice, and maybe I'll have a separate conversation with you that you can share a bit of your experience as well. I'm pretty sure that for our audience this was very helpful and interesting, because in Bulgaria, at least in our bachelor undergraduate programs, we don't speak too much about neurorehabilitation, so it gave a hint of what this kind of job is. And one last thing, maybe, can you say, in your personal opinion, as a clinician, as a neuropsychologist, which part of the job do you prefer, the assessment or the neurorehabilitation?
I think the assessment is really basic. I do enjoy both things for different reasons, but actually when you get to work with a patient, I think this is the most fulfilling thing, because you try to work around them, to work with them, because you see a patient. The important thing that I also is that you have a patient, you need to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, in order to help them, because we don't only get from the neuropsychological assessment the weaknesses of the patient. We can also identify their strengths and use them to work with them in this scenario. So that's really important. And of course, for me, it is really exciting to get to make and create more material for each patient in order to make it individualized. It is really important for that to follow through, because when we have some general exercises that do not apply to everyone, it is not for everyone's interests, it's really hard for someone to make them. I have actually created diagram games or other crossword puzzles specific for the patients, for their level, of course, for the level they are, for the difficulty level. And of course, you go through creating even more difficult tasks for them as they go by. So it is really important. It's a really creative part behind this that it is not really known.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the most exciting part, that it's so creative, and you follow the patient. And indeed, what you say about the assessment, that it's not just assessing the weaknesses as what are the deficits, but also identifying the possible strengths that can be used as a stepping stone towards the work later. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much once again for your presentation.
Thank you.
And maybe now it's the moment to give the floor to Tihomir Tihomirov to tell us something about the proposed master's program in neuropsychology and about the City College, I think, in general.
Yes, hello. Now it's time to give the audience brief information about who we are and what we do, actually. So to have a little bit of context in this. Just give me a moment to share the screen. Yes, okay. I think we can all see. Give me an indication. I believe it's okay. Yes, thank you, Ivo. As you have seen on Georgia's slides, you have seen the logo of the University of York City College Europe campus. And together we deliver different programs in Bulgaria together with New Bulgarian University. And I would just briefly say, when you decide to go for a university, how would normally people choose a university and a program? One of the criteria is their interests. And the other one is the reality, because I may want to be an astronaut and land on the moon every day, but what is the reality? What job opportunities are there to land on the moon? Maybe in the near future there will be a lot more. So students or applicants would normally go for job availability and personal interests, the reputation of the university that they are looking into their programs, quality of the programs as well. What are the career enhancing opportunities that universities are providing? For example, today at NBU, there was a wonderful career fair that I witnessed. Also, student applicants are looking at tuition fees and available scholarships. Often they neglect the living expenses and they go for locations where the living expenses are sometimes matching the tuition fees or even more. Traveling expenses are another thing that students should be looking at. And what last but not least is networking and the student learning experience. What do actually students get from the programs? So what actually makes a good university? And there, just guys, there is no serious university today that just reproduces or transfers knowledge. All of us have access to online resources, libraries, books, tutorials online, courses online, if you wish, that just transfer knowledge. But the aim of any modern university like New Bulgarian University and the University of York Europe campus, we build on top of all this with cases like the one that was just presented to us by Georgia. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, the University of York ranks very high in different international rankings. Just to give you the context of, you know, if you look for a prestigious university, you can also research them online. It's worth mentioning that the University of York is a member of the Russell Group. These are the top most prestigious universities in the United Kingdom. To be precise, there are just 24 universities in the Russell Group. Consider it as the Ivy League in the United States. And it was ranked number 10 for impact of its research, according to Times Higher Education in 2021. So I will not go further with the rankings, as you can see them online as well. So why the University of York decided to cooperate with City College, and it is now the Europe campus of the University of York. We all know the story about Brexit, etc., etc. So at some point in the past, the two institutions decided to join efforts and provide good quality education in the region. So there is a very good opportunity for you not to travel in the UK, but get the knowledge and experience locally here. So City College has a status of the European campus of a top British university. The main campus is in Thessaloniki, but there are also satellite activities in 8 different countries. One of these countries is Bulgaria, and we do the programs together with New Bulgarian University, which makes us part of the whole University of York academic community. We have international students coming from around 60 countries around the world. The programs are approved by the University of York, and the degrees that our graduates receive are awarded by the University of York. These are our goals. We are committed to cutting-edge education, so we design and deliver education programs addressing current and future needs, both of individuals and society. We do a lot of work that is connected with volunteering and needs of the society. And we not only transfer knowledge, but we aim for developing of critical skills, developing analytical abilities. We offer you up-to-date knowledge from worldwide journals, and we also cultivate ethical behavior. So our programs in Sofia, as I mentioned a couple of times, are delivered in collaboration with New Bulgarian University, which is ranked among the best universities in Bulgaria in many different areas, and also is, in my opinion, the best private university in Bulgaria. We offer together bachelor and master programs. I would focus primarily on the master programs that we offer together. They come from three different areas: business administration and economics, where we offer Master of Science in Finance and Banking, Marketing of Arts, Master of Arts in Digital Marketing and Social Media, Master of Arts in Marketing, Advertising and Public Relations. With the Computer Science Department of the University of York, Europe Campus, City College, and with the Public Administration Department of New Bulgarian University, we do the Master of Science in Management of Business Innovation and Technology. And we offer also psychology studies, where the two departments, the two psychology departments of the two universities join forces. And we offer the Master of Arts in Clinical Neuropsychology and Master of Science in Cognitive Neuropsychology. This is the main focus of today's case that was presented by Georgia. Now, the master programs in Sofia last for 2 years. Why is this? Because we offer it on a weekend-based module. Classes are taught in English. Lecturers from our campus in Thessaloniki visit Sofia. They deliver classes on one weekend. Lecturers from New Bulgarian University deliver classes on the next weekend. We do lectures, academic assignments, and common research. When our students graduate, they actually get 2 degrees. One master from the University of York and one master of New Bulgarian University, which are 2 prestigious and worldwide recognized degrees. Actually, all the countries that signed the Hague Convention from 1961 would recognize both degrees. We, of course, offer some fees and scholarships. We offer some scholarships in the form of early bird scholarships. And anyone who is interested can contact us at a later stage. So how you can learn more about the university? You can contact our country manager in Bulgaria, Ms Desi Pencheva, or you can contact Mr. Papaioannou or myself. This is a small picture of our graduation ceremony. This is the happy ending. They lived happily ever after. This is a picture from our last graduation ceremony, and these are some of our graduates from some of our programs. It's not all of them. So I hope you all enjoyed what you have seen and you managed to get something out of the case study that was presented today. And I hope that we will get a chance to see you in one of our next events. Now, back to Ivo for closing the event.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Or any final words?
For presenting the City College and also the program. So I think it was a very interesting event. It was a bit different from the webinar that we used to have, because they were a little bit more on the research side, and today we had with Georgia this opportunity to see a real case study, to see the other side of neuropsychology, and these are things that are offered in terms of different classes and activities during the master's programs. So if any one of you is interested, please contact us and we can discuss further. And soon probably we'll have another event, so that we'll invite you again if you have the desire to participate. Thank you once again to the speakers, to Georgia and to Tihomir. And I would like to wish you a lovely evening to everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.